15 years, I've been a teacher. I'm also a professional local realtor. After the Great Recession of 2008, I realized how important it is to have multiple streams of income to support my family and expand my charitable giving. In this adventure, I'm not alone. Today, nearly 50% of Americans have multiple revenue sources. This is why I'm hosting Streams, a show dedicated to why people have pursued work beyond their 9-to-5s. All right. Good evening. Good Tuesday evening to you. And obviously, the weather is weather's changing. Things are getting nice around here, but obviously that's a little bit different from everything else that's going on right now, which is very real and obviously also a reality. But nevertheless, I am very excited to bring out my guest from this week. We were colleagues for a couple of years, and at Clarkson High School, and just have a tremendous amount of respect for him because he works up in the front office, working with in the areas of social work and with counseling. And the kids absolutely loved him and respected him. And so, you get those two things going, and you have my respect as well. And definitely was sad to see him go when he decided to change districts to follow probably a little bit better of an opportunity for him. And so happy for him, but also was definitely sad to see him go. But he's got a very cool story for us today. And so without further ado, Jeremy, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much for having me, man. That was quite an introduction. I was waiting to see who you're going to introduce. I didn't know who that was.
Well, hey, it's like I was telling my guest last week, Ryan Kroge. The 20 spot you feed me beforehand really helps out. So
appreciate it.
So obviously shows the show entitled Streams. So we're talking about different revenue streams. So give a little bit of your background. What is it that you do, and then how did you get there? What's sort of the story behind you?
Yeah, well, okay. So where do we start? Currently I'm at Lake Orion High School, the social worker there, and I'm also owner operator of Talk Therapy of Troy. And so at Talk, I am a mental health clinician, and working with anxiety, depression, mood disorders, you name it, I'm there for that. And then also I'm a mental skills coach, which focuses more with athletes. And so their mental skill development, whether it be visualization, staying in the moment, meditation, managing anxiety as well, advising student athletes on colleges, helping support families during that transition. With my academic background, that's been very helpful. But that's pretty much what I'm doing, man. That's what I got going right now. And so you said, how did I get there? That's the long story. You ready for the long story? Or
feed me.
Okay, he's hungry. Okay, here we go. It starts back in the 2000s, early 2000s. I was living with mom. I got kicked out of school. There was a mutual agreement between me and Eastern Michigan. We just decided to part ways. And so I'm living at home, and she's like, you got to get a job. She was one of those old school, if you're going to live here, you're going to work here. Mm-hmm. And so she begged my brother to let me work with his football team. At the time, my brother was playing with the Detroit Fury. Mm-hmm. And it was out of the Palace, and it was a blessing in disguise. They had me doing all types of janitorial work. I was cleaning uniforms, and in the process of doing that, I started to be able to walk the back hallways of the Palace. Mm-hmm. And during those times, Larry Brown was the coach.
Yeah.
And of the Pistons, and then Tom Luganville was the coach of the Fury. And so the Fury would have me do just small errands around the building, and I would bump into randomly. I'd overhear coaches talking, and I was just fascinated with that world. And so I always knew that I was going to get my counseling degree, my therapy, a clinical degree. And so I knew I wanted to marry those two. I wanted to be there to help players adjust to life after the game. And I also just love sports like anybody else. And just wanted to, I wanted to find a way to get there. So the vehicle I chose was social work.
Yeah.
I realized that with the social work background and degree, I was able to do clinical work, and from that opportunity, that small opportunity at the Palace, it has it's crazy where it's taken me. Here we are about 20 years later, but it's been a wild ride. But I do it all over again because it was just magical moments along the way.
Right, and just invaluable lessons along the way as well, right? That at the time you might be thinking, when you and Eastern are like, well, we should go our separate ways. I'm sure there's also those sort of existential moments, like, okay, what direction is this? But then when you actually get to your destination, it's unbelievable. Like, this is what made me. This is who I am. So,
right.
So that's awesome. Now, walk me through a little bit on the sports side of things. This really was intriguing to me. So talk about that avenue real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm working there, and one of the assignments I had was when a player got cut, I would have to drive him home, and I would drive him to the airport. And in those conversations, just hearing the stories behind some of these guys, and just knowing how the families were not all impacted by this. Again, it just kept gravitating towards me that, boy, athletes need the support system. It's very difficult to reach out for help as an athlete. And so I, again, just kept working, kept grinding, meeting people, making connections. I started meeting some of the basketball players, football, and then along comes my wife a couple years down the road, and her brother was a former NHL player. And so again, made some more connections, met some more people, and able to really hone in my craft. And so over the last, I've coached, I've done, different things with sports, but the whole time I was building my craft, and so here we are.
Now, are you primarily working with like the college and professional athletes, or do you also offer services for like even middle school, high school age kids?
Yeah, I'm trying not to go too young with it, because some of the work I do, there's a maturity piece that has to be a part of it, and accountability piece. So primarily, I'm working with the high school, leaving high school, heading into college athletes. I have a couple of professional athletes I've worked with in the past, but primarily it's going to be that gap between 18 and 24, that age group.
Yeah. And so, kind of across all three that you mentioned, what are you noticing is like the most consistent need to address across all three?
Yeah, anxiety.
Yeah.
It's anxiety. It's just being able to master the moment, to stay in the moment, to be at your best during when anxiety's pulling at you, when the negative self-talk, the doubts are coming in. That's where, and again, that's in each area I work in. It's the same work, just dressed up in a different suit.
Right. Yeah. And so then talk a little bit about how it was kind of important for you to find that consistency. That's kind of the one thing I noticed in hearing a little bit of your story, is that each one of these different revenue streams that you have really builds off of each other. Right. Sure. And if I can just kind of, a little bit on my own story real quick, it's kind of the same thing I noticed with my two revenue streams. Like doing one made me better at the other, and there's so much overlap. Right. And so it's just that realization. So what are you seeing with the consistencies across all three?
Yeah, just connecting with people. I mean, and the other, I didn't mention for up until I believe October of last year, I was also working at a restaurant.
Mhm.
So when I started at Clarkston, I was working as a waiter at Rochester Chop House. So shout
Mhm.
out to the Chop House, great place, great steak, you'll love it. Everybody in the Rochester area already knows. But yes, I absolutely loved that job because it allowed me to build on communication. It helped me to get out of my shell a little bit,
Mhm.
and yeah. So all my careers, the customer service angle of it, talking with people, connecting with people, it's in every industry.
Yeah, and so is that more so? Would you say that interpersonal connection is kind of paramount in those circumstances, and that's really your driving force?
Oh, sure, sure. I making connections, and that's something I joke with people. It's hereditary. My parents, the same way. Growing up, this is all I knew is connecting with people, helping people, serving people.
Mhm.
That's just who I am, and I tried to run from it. I tried to find other things. I told my mom I tried to be an accountant, but I kept gravitating towards people. I just love helping people. I love just working with people.
Yeah, yeah, and so
And
there.
everybody knows I can't do math. I bet they're laughing. Look, I don't have to do math anymore. I have a calculator. So
Hey, no, I'm with you 100% on that. I was one semester as a business degree in that accounting class. I just realized real quick, it's not.
ain't for me.
It's great for some people, but guys like you and me, we'll find different things to do. So and obviously and serve people the better for it. Um, and so, okay, so this is where you're at right now. So looking at yourself 5 years from now, or like even if you want to even project out 10 years from now. So what is the path that you see? What do you, how do you see like your professional growth, your professional path over the next 10 years? What would that look like?
Yeah.
5 to 10.
It's funny. I forgot that phrase, that saying about if you love your work, you don't work a day in your life or something like that. And
Yeah.
although I've had multiple jobs, I really don't think I'm working right now. If that
Mm.
makes any sense, I really enjoy what I do. So you ask 5 to 10 years from now, I'm hoping I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm hoping I've maybe found. Right now we talking about streams of income.
Yeah.
I'm learning about options and option trading and so I'm a newbie at that, and just trying to pick up different skills with this downtime. I really wanted to use this time to hone in on the skills that I'm already working on, but also look to other things. And so, yeah, 5 to 10 years from now, I'm hoping I'm on that same grind and just continuing to work, continue to help people.
Awesome. Yeah, and for the millions of people watching at home right now, uh, and so I mean, clearly on the idea of on social work that requires not only an undergraduate degree but an advanced degree as well. But on your other income stream, so what is a pathway that somebody who may be watching at home says, "Wow, I really like what Jeremy's talking about here." And so what is sort of the pathway that they would be able to do something similar?
Sure. Well, the coaching area, I had a mentor working with me, and as I was sharing my passion, sharing my goals, they asked me about have I ever tried coaching, have I ever heard of coaching, and I was a little turned off because I was saying I have a master's degree, I have a master's plus degree, and so I was really insulted that they would bring up coaching, but when I really looked into it, I think, wow, what an opportunity
Mm.
because there's trainings you can go to. There's some great speakers here locally, as well as nationally, that are getting everyday people into coaching,
Yeah.
whether it be life coaching, nutrition coaching, whatever it is. To me, I think if somebody's out there, one of the millions are listening, I think that really focusing on what kind of a coaching career you would like to have. What are you passionate about? What's something that you can really help people with,
Mhm.
and developing that skill. And then, like I said about the day trading thing, I'm just going on YouTube like everybody else. I'm talking to people who are doing it, but asking for books, asking for recommendations. And when I can find a spare 5 or 10 minutes, that's what I do. I try to focus on that just a little bit at a time.
Right, and that's outstanding, because I think in a lot of ways that's where things are increasingly going. Where it's not as if education or higher education is going the way of the dodo. I mean, it's not going anywhere. But at some level, more and more people are realizing that if you have the ability to just show that you can do it, that can oftentimes be sufficient. So and actually you can serve people quite well that way. Awesome story. Love hearing it. Now, if you've I don't think I let you know this one, but one thing that we do here at Streams is I put my guests through the gauntlet. So
hey, I'm ready. I'm not scared. Come on.
So, all right, here's the go. And this is a fun one for the people at home too. So I'm going to ask you 5 this or that questions.
Okay.
Okay. So it's either this or that, and there's going to be 5 of them total. However, don't answer them out loud right away, because the people at home are going to enter their answers into their Facebook chat. And after the 5th question, they hit enter. Okay. And if their answers match your answers, then I send them a free card to a Seattle coffee house, national chain. You probably guess which one it is. And
Seattle coffee house.
So, but all right, you ready for the gauntlet?
Let's do it. Come on.
All right. We're gonna.
I don't say it out loud, so I'm not supposed to say it out. Don't answer right away.
Not yet. Yep. So just let me know when you're ready for the next question.
Okay.
Okay. And we're gonna go there on this first one. We're gonna go there right away.
Let's come on.
Wolves or dragons?
How many people are watching?
No, actually we got 12 viewers right now.
But I mean, like, is my boss on the thing? Don't be. No. I'm going for school or just sports. What's the just? Just
follow your heart. Just follow your heart.
Wolves. All right, next question. All right,
there's a free one. All right, question 2. All right, no answers till after. All right. Okay. So, American or Lafayette?
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Question 3. Now, we all know that the original Star Wars, those are the best. But you had to pick one. If you had to go with one, would you go the prequels or the sequels?
Mm-hmm.
All right. A day out on the lake, pontoon or jet ski?
Oh, I just learned what these are. Okay.
And question number 5. All right. In the realm of music, time frame, music from the 60s and 70s or 80s and 90s?
That's a tough one, actually, but I got it. All right.
And so we're going to hear Jeremy's answers here in just a minute, but a little bit new. We do have a word from our sponsor real quick. All right, I got to throw a shameless plug for my biz, right? No big deal.
In trouble, man. I didn't know you had Manzo on your team. Uh-oh. You didn't tell me that.
Oh, yeah. Well, he lives next door to me. And I'll tell you what, if I was as much of a go-getter as he is, just graduating high school,
already got one business.
Right.
The kid's ahead of the game, man.
Yes, he is. And and talking to him, he has everything all set, and just he's a rock star. Love having him as my neighbor, and love having him even more as my videographer. So
awesome.
All right, let's get into these. Let's get into the answers now.
All
right. For those of you at home, post your answers now to Facebook, and that way we can see if they match up. Question 1: Wolves or Dragons?
I said Wolves. Was I supposed to say it now? Or
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. I said Wolves just because it's I spent some great years there, man, and I have just I still talk about you guys way too much, probably. But yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. I Dragons, I'm actually, my boys are going to be Dragons. So, okay. I do have some love for Dragons, but right now it's Wolves.
Yeah. And, sometimes it's a little bit easier when there's no wrong answer, right? It's, two great places to work. And I know there's great people on both sides, but we all know what happens on the sports field. But anyway, all right. Question 2, American or Lafayette?
I want American.
Okay.
I go American. I didn't even know about Lafayette till later on. So American was the first one I was introduced to, and something in that chili sauce. I don't know.
It's hey, you know what? And whatever they have working there, it's clearly working because they're killing it. So, all right. Prequels or sequels?
Prequels. I couldn't get with the sequels. I think it's an age thing.
Yeah.
I'm a Luke and just old school Skywalker fan, so I needed the prequels. Got me.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I'm really supposed to give my answers or not, but it's my show. I'm going to. I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Sequels were entertaining, but in terms of respecting the Skywalker arc, yeah, gotta go prequels. All right, out in the lake, pontoon or jet ski?
So I just I heard people talk about pontoon boats, and I had no clue what that was or would be, and because I just never did lake life. I'm not a swimmer, not into that kind of thing. But my in-laws are. And so I found out that pontoons are cool, but they have a jet ski. And so I'm a huge jet ski fan now, and I want one. And if you guys can email my wife and encourage her, I'd appreciate it. I want to get one.
Oh, it was along those lines. It was so funny. My parents live out on a lake out in Highland Township. And so they have a pontoon. We're just kind of putzing around the lake. But then have you seen those lily pad things at like Costco? Yeah. And so this guy, their next door neighbor, actually, he's got his 2 kids, and they're probably no more than 4 years old. They're dancing on the lily pad. Well, he's got his jet ski out there, and he's just like, cornering real fast, splashing them, making the waves go, and they're just laughing, have a great old time. And then I'm thinking, my goodness, my girls would be absolutely crying if I did that to them. But he was having a great time with it, and so good stuff.
So much fun. They look like fun.
Oh. All right, question 5. Music time frame, 60s and 70s or 80s, 90s?
Now, see, this question again, I mean, your team, whoever comes up with these questions, your research department, this really struck a nerve with me because I struggle with this. I struggle with this on a daily. Most of my hip hop is from the 90s. Everybody knows that. I'm stuck in 95.
Yep.
But the majority of the music I listen to, what I really value is the 60s and 70s. So I went with 60s and 70s here. Yeah.
And any part of the 60s and 70s, particular artist, genre?
70s, old school R&B, give me, I don't want to call out a group because I'm going to offend somebody else, but, the 70s that's my spot, man. I love just classic OJs, I love old school stuff, man.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy with music, right? To where, it's totally based upon opinion, and there's musicality and there's, all these other in music theory, but, but to your point, you say, well, I really love, this and this. And then invariably someone's going to say, you got to be kidding me. This one's so much better because of this.
It's like, okay, I don't know, man. I like the OJ. Sorry.
So, yeah, but Jeremy, thank you so much for being on. What I want to be able to do
Awesome.
is, if folks want to be able to contact you for any of the work that you do, I will post it in the in the comment section below after everything is all set. And but just in the interim, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Sure. Either the website, talktherapyoftroy.com, or just give me a call, man. I'm so informal, it hurts. 248-923-4290. Let me say that.
I'm gonna
we'll put it in the comment section thing. But just get a hold of me, man. Tell people, tell your friends, tell your family. I do offer a 20%. I didn't tell you this, John, because I didn't want you to go crazy with it and leak it to the press. But anytime I come on a show, I offer 20% to your listeners, 20% off.
Yes.
The regular rate. So just mention that you heard it on streams, and you'll get an instant 20% off any of my packages that I offer.
Awesome. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome. I really appreciate this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we might have to come back for round 2 in a little, in a little while. So,
Yeah.
But again, thank you very much, and a lot of valuable information, and best of luck to you going forward.
All right, same to you. Go Dragons. All right. My phone started ringing, man.